Toree is an interesting case when it comes to crossovers. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Toree Crossovers is Cross Impact. Cross Impact is a platform fighter by indie team Larson Soft. The game featured Toree as a playable base game character with a bunch of mediocre alternate costume. The game also features Greg and Glitchy from the Toree series. The game was ultimately canned before most of the bugs could be patched, but overall, it's a pretty fun game. As long as you don't play it online. For God's sakes, don't play it online. Another indie platform fighter was Indie Rumble. Neo Osaka from Toree 3D was going to appear in Indie Rumble, but then it was cancelled because a lead team member was a weirdo. It's kind of a shame because the game's roster was very promising. The roster is basically the best of Cross Impact, so it probably would have ended up as a Cross Impact 2. Within the Toree series, there are a bunch of costumes. What's unique is that excluding a few costumes, most never return again. I find that kind of interesting. Anyways, Chubby Snow appears as a playable character in Toree Jolly Jam with no special attributes. He was likely added because the game is a holiday special, and snowmen are often associated with Christmas. Chubby is special because he is the only non-Seactor character to appear as a costume. Kind of. As I've discussed before on this channel in a video you should totally watch, Sonic is a big inspiration for the later Toree games. While not officially a crossover, Toree Genesis is a small game released to celebrate Sonic's 31st anniversary. The levels are clones of Green Hill, Flying Battery, and Stardust Speedway. The title screen is a reference to Sonic 1, but instead of Sonic, it's a Toree 2 render. Okay. Another unofficial Sonic collab is a mod that Seactro himself made of Toree Jumble Jam, where he put Sonic's model over Toree's. I'm honestly disappointed that this isn't official, but I guess we're gonna have to settle for the weird Cloud Battery costume. Jolly Jam also had Regina and Mac as playable characters. Previously, they appeared in Toree 3D and Toree 2 as cameos, but this is the first time they were actually playable. While doing research into Regina and Mac, I realized, wait, Seactro actually developed the game? In that case, why didn't they appear as playable characters in any Toree games before this? Whatever. Speaking of Regina and Mac, the game actually appears in the Toree and Friends collection. As far as I can tell, this was the first time that a Toree game got a physical release. I was super excited for this. Not for the game, but for the trading cards. The trading cards were very limited in variety, only featuring 5, technically 6, but shut up, unique cards. Those being Toree, Beanie, Regina and Mac, Macbat, and Kiwi. They're cool and all, but only having 5 unique cards really was a bummer considering that the Seactor universe has so many cool characters. I'll just have to wait another 10 years until we have Hockey, Tasty, Glitchy, Melon King, and Pengu. Another physical item released were the makeshift plushies for Toree and Kiwi. These plushies were made to coincide with the release of Toree Saturn and Super Kiwi 64 respectively. Look, I get that Kiwi is his own franchise, but he's appeared in the same number of Toree games in the past decade than his own series. These plushies had about 340 sales each and are no longer available for purchase, except for from these scalpers on eBay who have been selling them since day one. I don't own them because I didn't get into the series until after Toree Saturn's release. Flapty Clap is a Flappy Bird clone with a more level-centric format. In the reveal trailer of the game, we can see Toree and Hockey appear, but they seem to be aesthetic only. What's interesting about the collab is that Hockey appears without his cloak, indicating that the developers probably never even played the game, which has probably contributed to this lackluster collaboration. The sprite for Toree is amazing though, much better than what we got for Ice Cream Adventure 2077 or whatever. Another upcoming game is Abomination Monster Rifts. The game seems to be inspired by the Pokemon series, but if it was crossover based. I was gonna lose it if I needed to buy another game where you can play as Toree, but only Hungry Duck appears there. At first glance, it seems like a very odd choice, but if you think about it, it starts to make a lot more sense. So in the Pokemon series, multiple of the same creatures can appear and be put into a party. So it'd be really weird if you had multiple Torees when there's only one goat. Hungry Duck appears a lot across Toree. Heck, he even has his spin-off horror game / farming sim. Anyways, moving on. Frogun is a game where you have to complete levels with a grappling hook in the shape of a frog. Totally random game idea. In this game, Toree is murdered, skinned, and turned into a hat. Dear God. The choice makes more sense when you consider that Frogun is also a low-poly 3D platformer inspired by the N64 era. I'm moving on because I don't want to see my boy like this anymore. Our final game I wanted to talk about is Lunistus. I've barely played it because I think the level design is terrible, but Toree appears as a secret unlockable character. He only has 1 HP, but has a faster speed as a trade-off. The cameo was genuinely able to persuade me to buy the game, even if I've only played it for like 30 minutes. Alright, so you guys know me. I ended up completely beating Lunistus just so I can get this footage. So you better like it. But anyways, thanks for listening to me yap about the Toree series. I would love to do more videos like this in the future if it doesn't flop. Before I go, I would like to remind you that at 50 subs, I will rank every single 2D Sonic level. And yes, I finally added the Rush games. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.